Team USA beats Team Canada 3-1 in Montreal. The villains prevail in the first matchup of the Four Nations face-off. Let's talk about it next on the CHGO Blackhawks Team USA Four Nations face-off post-game podcast. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Team USA Four Nations Face-Off post-game podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Greg Boysen. There's Mario Tirabassi. Sarah's here too. There's no one else in this building. No one even shoveled outside because everyone's home watching the Four Nations as they should be. That was a lot of fun. What's that?
The Four Nations facing off.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. USA wins 3-1. That was so much fun.
So damn fun.
I have not had that much fun watching hockey because I'll even say this. Even when the Hawks were in the playoffs, even when they were winning Stanley Cups, it was just misery for 3 hours every game. And yeah, I want Team USA to win. Mm-hmm. It'd be fun. But if they don't win, life goes on for me. Right? This was as much this goes back to, for me, the 96 World Cup, which was early in my hockey fandom, a couple of years into it. And it's really when I started getting into it. And it was the same feeling of, hey, they got a real chance. Here's the guys I love to watch playing together. And it was awesome. I had a blast tonight. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere leading into this game was just awesome. I mean, you have the two favorites of the tournament, one of the best rivalries in not just hockey, of course, but just all of sports is the Team Canada versus Team USA in hockey, whether it's men's or women's. Like, it's supercharged already. Then you put it in Montreal. It's Canadian Flag Day, so they're all juiced up with patriotism.
Did we ruin that for them?
That's a shame.
And then it's finally the best of the men's game facing off, and it absolutely delivered, even without the tomfoolery and foolishness of the first 9 seconds, which we all, well, most of us loved, and which really, I think, honestly, when you zoom out from this game, if you look on, Twitter and Blue Sky and just the amount of people outside of the hockey world paying attention to this game, I would say the 3 fights in 9 seconds, getting the word around, tuned in some people to this game that maybe weren't. And I think that just kind of like adds into what this game could represent of, like, it's been almost a decade since we've seen something like this in the men's game. And that's, it's been a big part of the Olympics in 2010 and 2014 was a big part of getting casual fans into hockey, and trying to help grow the NHL. Like, this game, result aside, I think was going to potentially have that impact. And I think the game that they had, just the atmosphere and the electricity of this game and how charged up it was, the hits were off the chart. Like, it was awesome. I think that's, in a grander scheme of things, like, really positive for the game of hockey and the NHL specifically.
Yeah, I mean, this game had all the things that the casual hockey fan wants and expects and thinks happens in every hockey game. The fights, the big hits,
the
crowd,
not every hockey game is
the
like
intensity,
that.
But this is what, like, your casual hockey fan was like, oh man, this is great. It's kind of like when, like, I watch a World Cup soccer game and I'm like, man, this is so good.
I'm going to become a soccer fan.
I love this.
Now.
I wish every game was like this.
Yeah.
And then I'll watch, an MLS game the week after. Like, no,
ooh, that's a big jump.
This kind of sucks.
So a little different.
Yeah, but the game had everything you wanted. It had the storylines. You had your fights to start the game. As silly as that was, it got, a rabid crowd into it. McDavid shows why he's the best player in the world with that first goal, just blown by everybody.
He's
Crowd's
fast.
going crazy, but the U.S., they never they never deterred from their game plan. They kept chipping away at it, and you get a huge 3-1 win. Jake Guentzel, soft goal by Jordan Binnington.
What?
Oh,
Get out of here!
No, never.
So yeah, it's it was a great game,
Well,
fun game. It's going to be a little bit of a drop off, I think, for Monday's games and what we saw today with the two rivalries.
Yeah. Well, so just so everybody knows, with this win, USA has secured its spot in the final in the championship game. So they're in the championship.
We knew that was going to happen.
We called it.
We scheduled 4 post-game shows for a reason.
We did, knowledgeably.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're playing a tournament that is your national sport, you expect your team to be in the championship final. Because, based on the way international tournaments have been going, World Juniors, Four Nations, hockey is an American sport. You just have to just have to get used to it.
Sorry, try baseball. Ooh. Basketball?
Try football.
Football? Ooh, that's not going to work.
Can't do that.
You know what? They've got us in lacrosse.
They'll always have curling.
Curling too. Yeah.
The sport of men like me. I'm here for it. All right, well, there's a lot to unpack here, and you guys both really strong points. I want to say, you talked about the McDavid goal and how it could have been a demoralizing moment for USA and Charlie McAvoy, who got absolutely toasted.
Yeah.
He came back and recovered from that like it never happened.
And then just decided to hit Connor
just
McDavid as often as he could.
He made it his goal in the game to just run through McDavid as much as possible.
I'm going to recover from this moment.
That's what the best players in the game do. Something
100%.
bad happens, okay, you move on.
Keep it going. And I don't want to undersell too. And look, we're fresh off it, just like we do in Hawks postgame shows. Sometimes we say things out of emotion that maybe are not real, and with a night's sleep on it, you rethink it. But I'm going to say, fresh in mind, this is the kind of showcase for hockey that could pitch it a little bit. You had a premier NBA event too, that while you're watching this game and the dunk contest on social media, everyone's panning how bad the dunk contest was and how unenthusiastic it was.
Literally minor league guys jumping over cars.
Meanwhile, you've got the best players in the world playing hockey. Yeah, there's 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. So anyone who is kind of half checked into the NBA is definitely navigating over to ABC to check this out. And they got a hell of a hockey game with, like you said, Greg, everything the amateur hockey fan, or casual is the right word, hockey fan wants to see, they got to see. I don't want to overstate it, but primetime, ABC, everyone's got it. Saturday night without a huge sporting event up against it. This timed out perfectly.
Well, and the ratings for the first 2 games were incredible.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
The Finland-US game Thursday was the highest rated non-playoff hockey game ever on ESPN.
Like 1.5 million. Yeah.
The TNT, the Canada-Sweden game, that did a million.
1 million viewers,
and that you didn't have an American team playing in it. So,
right, yeah.
And
I'm sure this game is going to be
this game
crazy
will be huge.
Viewership. Yeah.
I mean, that's just in the U.S. Obviously, when you do all of North America and you throw Canada in there, the numbers have been great. But for a tournament that had very little buzz going into it, there wasn't. I mean, there was a lot of talk. Yes, it felt it was being forced into every national broadcast. By the way, 100%. Don't forget,
it was being promoted, but I think
it's going to be the biggest. They were so clearly given talking points,
right? Yeah, absolutely. But there was no real buzz amongst the fans.
Not really.
You were just kind of like, oh, okay, and even the players that weren't a part of it were just kind of like, oh, I get a break. It's cool,
right?
But obviously, hockey fans are excited about it once it got here because they're watching, and that's a big deal.
Actually, good. I'm glad you mentioned that because a USA player who did not participate in this will be on the show in the studio on Wednesday. We're going to have Alex Vlasic in here, and I'd love to get his thoughts on his observing of the Four Nations from a distance. And that's a guy who in a couple of years is going to be in a game like this or maybe the Olympics or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll get a player's perspective on it Wednesday at 2:30. So make sure you don't miss that. But yeah, I mean, it was just, say what you want about fighting. I had already somebody call me on Twitter, the guy who's against fighting. I'm not against it. It just doesn't accomplish anything. And in the terms of a game, it's always about it's turning momentum. It doesn't. There's no actual statistical evidence that it does. Am I entertained by fights? Hell yes. Was I entertained by the first 9 seconds of this game? Hell yes, I was. I know you didn't love it. We can get into it if you want.
Yeah,
We don't have
to. I'm not a ban fighting from hockey guy.
Yeah.
It still serves its purpose when it's needed. I'm just not a fan of the staged, predetermined fights at opening face-offs. It's silly. And
now Brady Tkachuk said it was organic.
I don't think he knows what that word means. Do you really need to be fighting to set a tone in a game like this?
You wouldn't think so.
And my biggest issue with it, and it didn't hurt anything in the long run, but we talked about it Thursday against Finland. That game turned around when you put the Tkachuk brothers together with Jack Eichel. That was your best line.
Yeah.
That's your line that's going to do a lot of damage against a team like Canada. Going to be physical, going to be the forechecking line, set the tone. And now 2 of those guys are out for the first 5 minutes of a game on Canadian ice. Like, that could have ended a lot worse than it did.
Yeah. Well, and then Canada got a power play.
That's my issue with the whole thing.
Sure.
I'm not against fights. I enjoy somebody getting punched in the face just as much as the next guy, especially if it's JT Miller. I'm fine with that. But just the whole, hey, let's do this at the opening face-off. It's a little too...
Yeah.
It's a little pointless to me.
I get what you're saying. I do think, though, that...
But everybody loved it. I'm in the minority. Yeah. I know I'm in the very small minority there. But, it got everything you said accomplished. People, that stuff's going around on social media, and people are flipping over to watch the game. It served its purpose. I understand.
Yeah, no one is switching to the hockey game because there's a furious forecheck happening in the first 5 minutes of the game. And I think the players know this, and I think, look, as great of hockey players as the Tkachuks are, they're showmen. Brad Marchand's a showman. And hockey needs more guys like that. I know it is. It's not hockey culture. Yeah, I didn't notice him very much, but I think
he has ice time.
Hockey needs more guys like that who understand, hey, we're here to win the game. We're also here to entertain. The Tkachuks understand that maybe more than anybody in hockey, and I did not expect that to happen, especially 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game. Mark Messier did, though.
Oh, sure.
Even though he'd never said it at any point before. But it was entertaining as hell. It was awesome. And it will be talked about for the rest of the history of hockey.
Yeah, that moment, those 9 seconds in this game is going to be it's going to be talked about for years upon years.
Right. No one's going to remember the final score.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's already probably I would say one of the more iconic moments within a U.S.-Canada men's hockey rivalry. Just to have it's just nuts. Like you don't see that in every game. You don't see that you rarely ever see fights in quote unquote international tournaments or whatever. And to see it like that at that stage, just nuts. This is from Michael Russo. Says, quote, on the scraps, according to somebody at ice level, Matthew Tkachuk asked Brandon Hagel to fight. After the fight, Brady yelled to Sam Bennett, "We're going next." Bennett was on the bench, so he came onto the ice for the face-off to accept the challenge, and JT Miller was going to fight anybody who dropped the gloves with him because his gloves were already off.
Yeah, Cole Borrego's all right.
Yeah, Cole Borrego saw
he saw
JT Miller didn't have gloves and was like, oh, okay, toss him down, and then JT Miller punched himself in the face. Yeah, he didn't do himself any favors, but yeah, I mean, with the Tkachuks, they've come into the league and they've established themselves as these guys that are physical and brash and in your face and also highly skilled. They're not just guys out there trying to be wrecking balls. They also put up 30 and 40 goals and lead their teams and everything. So I'm not shocked that given the stage, given the moment, I'm sure the extra adrenaline running through them through this game, they were just yeah, let's go out there and just wreck these guys whatever way possible. And if you're Brandon Hagel and you're skating out there for the opening faceoff and Matthew Tkachuk says, hey, you want to go? And you go, nah, that as an NHL player, that can get around the word can get around, and that
Well, yeah.
can
I
reflect
mean, it's
on
not as soft as Cale Makar, who let a little head cold keep him out of his game.
He's got the sniffles. Leave him
Oh,
alone.
man.
No, stop that. He might be a hockey.
And then they had
He
to.
might be a-
Then Canada had to
Yeah.
call an American to fill his spot. That
Yeah.
traitor Thomas Harley.
Benedict
Sorry.
Harley over here.
I'll take the Brett
From
Hull for Thomas
Syracuse.
Harley trade. Historically, I'll take that one. That's fine. All right, we got to hit the break zone. A whole lot more. We got to talk about some individual performances in this because there were some really, really good ones. Hey, do us a favor. Already over 100 likes. Love that. Hit that like button for us again. Well, don't do that because then you'll unlike it. But sell someone else or sign into your other YouTube accounts and like it from there. And if you haven't yet, please do. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning. We'll be here again for the next game. Stick with us on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. And what's more American than Sam Adams? Nothing. And light beer just got better. Introducing Sam Adams American Light. It's clean, it's crisp, and it's super easy to drink. There's no gimmicks. There's no fluff. Great time to grab a beer is every time Freebird plays.
3 times tonight.
I think you have to do it. Slam that Sam Adams American Light. Crush the can on your forehead. And get ready for the next Team
Sarah's
USA
got to
goal.
learn that tradition.
Smashing a beer on her forehead?
After Freebird.
Yeah, she can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
We're doing a little music lesson before the show for Sarah. It's fine. It's fine. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. That is light beer that's made right. It's an American classic, so smooth you want to crack open another one. It's always Sam season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light, available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
And if you're looking for a healthier way to relieve aches and pains while also getting a better night's sleep, aren't we all? Why not try Cornbread Hemp's USDA Organic CBD Gummies? Cornbread offers the first USDA Organic CBD gummy in the USA. You see? There's a theme here.
There's a theme.
Their CBD gummies are the highest quality full spectrum gummies on the market, and they help with stress relief, better recovery, and improved sleep. Now, here's what sets Cornbread's CBD gummies apart. They are full spectrum. They are USDA certified organic. They are made from flower only, never the whole plant, just the flower. They are third-party lab tested for potency and contaminants. They are also vegan, dairy, and gluten-free with no artificial flavors or preservatives. That's good news for people like me with weak tummies. Cornbread offers free shipping and backs all products with their 30-day Better Life Guarantee. You can take Cornbread's 2-minute quiz to get custom recommendations tailored to your needs, whether it's for aches and pains, sleep support, or stress relief. So if you want to give Cornbread a try, they're offering CHGO listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use the code CHGO at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO, promo code CHGO, 30% off your first order. That is the good life.
All right, let's fire up some super chats.
We'd like to remind you folks, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
First one comes from Adrian Cherikos, who I call Adrian Chelios. Fighting is the best part of hockey, and it's not even close. That's a $50 super chat. So I believe legally we're not allowed to argue.
No, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
Appreciate
Adrian.
that.
I do agree with that.
You're
Very much.
Sarah agrees.
That's just me, though.
There you go.
Your
Sarah
opinion
agrees.
is noted and on
Noted.
board.
Yes. Windy City Hockey says for $5, Canada should be regretting picking Diaper Boy for net.
Sure.
Oof.
I mean that the Guentzel goal, the first one was not great, but he made some big saves though too.
The discrepancy between Canada's best offerings for goaltender and the U.S. is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you have Hellebuyck, Ottinger, and Swayman. Like, sure, take your pick if you feel wonderful about all three of
The
them.
3 best goalies in this tournament,
Yeah, definitely.
right?
Yeah. And then you have Binnington, who's not great, Aiden Hill, who's like, he's not expected to be great, and Samuel Montaball, who's fine. But
Got a
like,
fun name to say.
yeah, but like the best that Canada could offer in this tournament.
Well, the best that they could offer is Logan
Thompson, yeah, who's at home.
Yeah, that's
sending out the Phil Kessel tweet.
that is a bit strange.
So, hey, I mean, maybe develop some goalies in your country. That's all I'm saying.
Get a goalie coach, Canada.
Yeah,
keep giving standing ovations to Carey Price, who never won anything. It just shows you what the expectation is for Canadian goalies. Patrick Waugh would never.
Marc-Andre Fleury is right there. Why didn't you take him?
Because he's 80 years old.
If he barely plays, he would have been fresh.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. And done 22-6 says they showed still how important it is to be big and physical, regardless of how much talent you have. Yep. I mean, that's it. That's
a big part
how
of
you
it.
win playoff style games. And they kept, I mean, aside from the fights and aside from the counting hit stats, they were just tough to penetrate. Like, Canada was so perimeter for most of the game, and I was a little bit frustrated with the way USA was playing in the third, just kind of sitting back, but clearly they were seeing that Canada was unwilling to attack the middle of the ice.
They just couldn't get there.
Yeah.
I think no question that those are guys on that team that know that that's the most dangerous area of the ice, but the U.S. was just playing defensively so sound that, yeah, the physicality, just keeping them to the outside was really effective. And then when you did have, some high danger chances against, having Connor Hellebuyck in net just gave you that extra confidence that, Team USA was able to kind of, once they got that 2-1 lead, not to say that they like backed off in the third period, but they were kind of just bend, don't break against Canada, and eventually got, to the point where you got the empty net. You take advantage of it. But yeah, I mean, defensively, once they got that 2-1 lead, they really kept Canada at bay for that whole third period.
Drew Lounsbury gives us $7 Canadian. The DNVR boys sent me one for the post game. The difference was the baby shit soft goal that our POS and our net did. Good game. See you Thursday. Canadian flag emoji.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, I mean,
that's if you beat Finland.
True. Goaltending was I think if you're going to say one thing was a difference, yes, I think it's fair to say goaltending, but I think that's taking a little bit away from the way U.S. played in this game. Like, it was, USA played well. It's not like they were hanging on for dear life.
No, for sure. They could have had a couple more, and Hellebuyck was really good. But yeah, but everybody knew when these rosters were announced. You were like, man, Canada's really good, but yikes.
Yeah, then you get to the goaltending.
Then we were saying for weeks when that the U.S. Canada game is going to come down to goaltending. Yeah, and it did. And if they play again in the final, it's going to be, you can't give up a softie in a game like this, because one goal is likely going to make the difference, because these teams are so evenly matched and so talented that you can't give away a freebie.
Chubbs82 for $2 says Karma bit Canada. Yes, for not having the Mounties tag team drop the puck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what they get. Steve from Chicago, $5 says the ESPN Canadians on the broadcast were salty. Ferraro was shook. Messier was angry, and PK Subban was just happy he had his Frank Lucas coat on. I do find it odd that
crew gets
how about
worse by the day.
Find an American-born player. I know you don't employ them during the.
Don't they still have Ryan Callahan, ESPN?
Yeah,
sure.
I thought so.
He's probably on vacation though.
But
I'd imagine for this, the ABC broadcast would have had
bring Chris Chelios.
Add somebody else. Well, they fired him.
I'm sure. Hey, I was fired. I'm here.
Fair point.
Money talks, man.
Fair point.
There's a thing called freelancing where you can get paid to do stuff.
That's a good point, Greg. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, no, I agree.
I can't argue.
But I'm just saying, like, ESPN, CHGO is a little different, but like you'd imagine that they have, you could have somebody even I'm sure they even have somebody on staff that could have been like, oh, here's Canadian analyst and here's USA analyst, like just for that. But I mean, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, that group, I would say that they tried to be a little down the middle, but when you have a guy like PK Subban, like,
No.
Shouting out Don Cherry, there's really no down the middle between USA and Canada.
There was no way that crew was going to be, unbiased in the least. You knew it.
I think they tried at least, but yeah, it's tough.
They tried at least, but then when you're frustrated going into the third period, like as a Canadian analyst, I'm sure that they're just letting that out.
No doubt.
Well, go work for Sportsnet then.
$2 from Ralph J, who says, why is Brian Bickle's name not on the 2010 Cup?
Because he didn't meet the requirements.
Yeah, you got to play a certain. He didn't.
You got to play half the NHL season or suit up and play in the Cup final. He didn't do either of those things.
Yeah, he was mostly in Rockford that year, so that's why. I don't even think he played in any playoff.
He had
games
4
that year.
playoff games.
4 playoff games,
not
but
in the final.
not in the final. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
Asked and answered. And $5 from Mr. Koala says, do you guys think the Hawks would go 41-0 at home if the UC sounded like the Bell Center did tonight and the players play with that same
If they had the
intensity?
same roster, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
If they had Team USA's roster, but
I mean,
that was Canada's home rink and they lost. So
yeah, and the U.S. or the U.S. anthem gets raucous cheers from the United Center crowd every night,
and then the game starts.
and then yeah, they've yet to go undefeated at home since.
And then the Blackhawks lose the opening faceoff, and then ice the puck 9 times in the
Yeah,
first 2 minutes, and nobody
definitely
cares
crowd
anymore.
atmosphere plays a factor in some capacities of the game, but just because you have the biggest, loudest crowd doesn't translate always into, rattling other opponents. And that's, we were talking during the game, like, on the broadcast, like how many times they're just like, how will these players handle, this atmosphere and the intensity of this game? It's just like, they're all NHL players. They're MVPs and Stanley Cup champions. Like, if they're afraid of this game, you have a problem.
They're on these teams because they live for these moments.
Yeah.
Like, they are loving every second of it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't sleep last night, not because they were nervous, because they were so darn excited to get out there and start fighting right after the face off.
Right.
Like, yeah. I mean,
Canada has 12 Cup winners in their lineup.
Yeah, like they can handle.
They can handle
this.
Yeah, they can. But
a lot of. I'd venture a guess to say everyone that played tonight has played a game in the Bell Center.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, the atmosphere was great because of the product. How could you not be sitting in that arena for that game and not be excited and be loud? Just like back in 2013 and 2015, you were excited to be there because there was something, you knew you were going to see something great. So they play off each other. Fans get excited when they know that they're going to get their money's worth for their ticket. They're about to see something special.
Yeah.
You go to a Hawks game now, you don't have that feeling. Hopefully one day the fans will get that again. But, you walk in on a Wednesday night in February and it's snowing and it's, the Blackhawks against the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, but
a little bit of a drop off.
But the Hawks beat the crap out of Nashville, and that crowd was into it. Like, they're waiting to. They're looking for a reason to get excited.
Right.
And more often than not, it's not there from them. And I mean, but look, anytime Connor Bedard scores, the place is up for grabs. Again, that Nashville game, the crowd was awesome. So the Hawks crowd is showing up. They're loud when it's warranted. It just needs to be warranted a little more often, and it will be. It will be, and soon. We hope. We think.
Please.
Is that all of them?
I think that's all of them.
Damn.
That's a lot of super chats.
Are we at the break zone already? Well, let's just do it, and we'll get back with some thoughts on individual performances, as I promised earlier. And if any more super chats roll in, we'll get to those. And do us a favor, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll be back in a second on CHGO Blackhawks. And are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating, well, easy. They're dietitian approved, ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. You can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor keto meals based on a randomized, controlled clinical trial With Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. We got our Factor meal kits last week. I've had one, and my wife and daughter have devoured the other 6. So mine was great.
All mine went into the basement fridge.
They seem to enjoy theirs as well. And you will too. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/CHGO Hawks 50 and use the code CHGO Hawks 50 to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code CHGO Hawks 50 at factormeals.com/CHGO Hawks 50 to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. 50.
CHGO Hawks 50. Yeah, I had the queso fundito
sounds like a party.
from Factor. Delicious. And hey, if you want to speak about parties, President's Day sales event is going on right now at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake. So shop federally approved savings on brand new vehicles. You can head to Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams vehicles. And right now, take 18% off of MSRP with a dealer discount on all new 2024 gas-powered Jeep Wrangler models. Or you could shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With a friendly team of brand experts, the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they promise affordability, you only are going to pay the prices that you're hearing right now, because that is Ray's price promise. Allows you to shop confidently with no add-ons, no hidden fees ever. The price you see and hear is the price that you're going to pay. So check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories. You can find the right new vehicle for you, then drive home happy. The team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram is the only one we recommend. So don't miss out on their President's Day sales event going on all month long with 18% off of MSRP on all new 2024 gas-powered Jeep Wrangler models. For more information, visit Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram today in Route 12 on Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
Got a bunch of post-game quotes rolling in. This is Michael Russo, who covers the Wild in the NHL for The Athletic. This is Dylan Larkin, quote, "That was one of the best experiences of my life. Just an unbelievable hockey game. The Tkachuk brothers and Millsy, what a start, and credit to those guys for answering the bell. The crowd, just a great night for our sport and a great night for this rivalry. Can't wait to get back to Boston and get on home soil." Matthew Tkachuk, by the way, says there's, quote, "no concern about an injury for him." So he did sit out, probably the second half of the third.
Yeah.
Tried it a couple times and then told Tortorella I can't go, and sat out the rest of the game. So he's at least saying maybe it's gamesmanship. Who knows?
Yeah, says he's okay.
Yeah, he says he's okay.
Well, you've clinched your spot into the championship game. There's no need to play him Monday.
Yeah, sure.
Let's give him a couple
Get
days
Chris
off.
Kreider in there.
I was going to say Kreider.
And then have him get ready to go for next day. He doesn't have to play till Thursday. So if it's just a tweak or whatever, if he's never went to the locker room, doing post game media, I think he's fine.
Yeah, it might be something that he was just like confident that they were going to close the game out and no need to push it. Like he'll be okay. Speaking of guys that missed time in this game, John Cooper says he is hopeful Cale Makar will play on Monday. Says, quote, "This is our game 7."
I think that's going to be a pretty big talking point about Canada's loss here is the unavailability of Cale Makar. And look, make no mistake,
it's a big difference.
He's a massive difference maker for them.
Going from Cale Makar and Shea Theodore to Thomas Harley Trader and Travis Sanheim, that's a huge drop. That's a big difference.
Absolutely.
No disrespect to that Trader and Travis Sanheim.
No disrespect to the traitor.
He knows what he is.
And I say this with all due respect.
He's born in Syracuse, New York. He's playing for Canada. Facts are facts.
Yep. Doesn't work that way, pal.
Traitor.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But I want to point this out because I heard this stat on 32 Thoughts, and I just think it's incredible. This is about Quinn Hughes, who is missing the entire tournament for Team USA. This year, Vancouver, with Quinn Hughes on the ice, is plus 42 in goals for.
It's good.
Without him on the ice, they are minus 54.
It's bad.
Scoring chances with Quinn Hughes on the ice are plus 216 for Vancouver. Without him on the ice, they're minus 329.
That's a lot more.
That's two different teams.
That's crazy.
That's Hart Trophy statistics
Yes.
right there. Like, that is the definition of the most valuable player.
That is insane. I'm sure you could probably go through the history of the game and find guys with similar impacts on our team, but I'm sorry, like you look, there's no way Cale Makar's numbers are that high because of the supporting cast around him.
He's got much
It's-
better
Right,
team.
yeah.
Even
it's a
McDavid's got Draisaitl who's doing his like. I can't imagine a bigger gap. That's why I heard that. I rewound it 3 or 4 times.
That's crazy.
Kyle said the stat. I was like, "What? Is that correct?"
It
Yeah.
sounds made up, but it's not.
It's wild.
Just goes to show how good he is. I mean, he won the Norris last year, but stats like that tells me he should be in the consideration for the Hart Trophy. He won't win it this year, but who knows? Maybe down the road he will. That was my biggest disappointment of this tournament, was that Quinn Hughes wasn't going to be playing, because he's obviously a great player, but to have him and Jack Hughes playing on the same team, and then this game, Makar and Hughes head to head would be a lot of fun. I mean, we still get that a couple times a year, but not with this on this type of stage. You know, staying up late to watch the Canucks and the Avalanche, not quite the same as USA Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that Quinn Hughes is. I just wish the guy would have an ounce of fun.
He always looks like he just watched someone's dog.
I know
get
he's
put
playing
down.
on the Canucks, and it's been a stressful season up there.
I mean, with stats like that, like anytime you're on the bench, you're watching the team without you,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're
it's
like,
true.
oh,
It's disheartening.
God, I need to get back on the ice.
And I know, like, you know, everybody has their own demeanors, but just once, be excited. Just one time.
Nah,
Yeah.
You're one
Can't
of the
do
best players in the world.
bad
Like,
culture.
you know,
Yeah,
come to Chicago, play here. You'll smile more.
smile more, honey.
Yes, absolutely.
Smile more, sweetheart. There you go. Yeah, but he did. He won the Norris Trophy last year. We were there, and he looked like,
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's just
Someone
who
just backed
he
over
is.
my
and
dog.
that's
Which-
fine. But man, I mean, if the Canucks ever win a Stanley Cup and he's on the ice to get the trophy, that's going to be quite the photo opportunity.
just like, you know, head on his chin.
Somebody take this from
I
me.
guess. Yeah. Well, you know, that's so I don't want to hear about Cale Makar. All right, I don't want to hear about it. At least you get
At least
Cale maybe for the rest of the
At
tournament.
least
Maybe.
Quinn Hughes has like a legit injury and not the sniffles.
It's weird. I don't know. It's
The illness thing is weird, because I would think a guy like Cale Makar would suit up for a game like this. Like, unless it's like
you'd have to be really,
like he'd have to be in a
really
hospital,
knocked
I would
out,
think. So I
yeah.
don't know if the illness is.
Maybe
And
he had
he-
a gluten.
and he's skated this morning.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
just like, it kind of feels like it came down to like a game time decision. It was just like, no, I'm not going to be able
And
to
did you
get through
see
this
the
game.
weird thing where Harley couldn't come on the ice for the morning skate until Makar was off? So, like-
so dumb.
So Makar left early, and then Thomas Harley, who's like looking from the dressing room, like, can I get out there yet? Goes out and he does the NHL '94 cheer, like
so dumb.
the Tuscan Raiders cheer when he takes the ice. It's like so weird. It's like COVID level restrictions. For
Yeah,
these.
right,
This is
like,
something they'll,
Canada's not
as this
allowed
goes
to have-
on, they'll tweak it, but it was a little bit
More
weird
than-
the way like he's not allowed near. Why? Who
Yeah.
So
cares?
weird.
I
I mean, yeah, you're already making up your own rules for this tournament anyway. Like,
I have been seeing some stuff on social media about John Cooper, about how
Future Hawks head coach.
Mike Sullivan, the
All
guy
right.
that won tonight.
Fair enough.
How much he used his line of Tampa guys the Hagel, Cirelli, and Point line in that third period. Like that's like your defensive shut. Like one of the writers, I can't remember which one, but it's like John Cooper out here using Cirelli, Hagel, and Point like they're McDavid, Crosby, and McKinnon. Like, so I'm sure the media is not going to go easy on him after a night like tonight.
No, they shouldn't. I mean, you're right about that. And did they ever deploy Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon at 5-on-5?
Not until the end of the game.
Because it was
when it was 6-on-5.
They put
yeah.
They put McDavid, Crosby, and Stone out there.
Got to have a nuclear option chasing a goal in the third period.
You would think.
Yeah, right.
And what's more nuclear than that? And just as an aside, the fact that Sidney Crosby, who's what, 37? 38, is still that good.
It's crazy.
And that effective.
He's
37.
He's
unreal.
Once in a lifetime type player.
Would you say generational?
He's a generational talent.
I mean,
once in a generation.
If you're a fan of that term, he's so good. So good.
Yeah, it's
just, I think we take him for granted.
Yeah,
because
he is that good that you are like, and also
right.
And when you think about 7-8 years ago, the injury problems he was having, the concussion issues.
Yep.
You know, to then have this late
a whole season, didn't he? Or almost a whole season.
I mean, there's about a 3 or 4 year span there in his career where he was missing more games than he was playing.
Yeah,
he
especially
was ducking the Hawks.
Well, that's what I say. Especially when they came here. But I think he's only missed
since that 2012 season.
I think he's only
so
missed
2010. Sorry to interrupt you. 2010-11 was 41. 2011-12 22. 2012-13 36.
Well, that's almost the full
that
season.
Was the short season, yeah.
That was only 48.
Oh, right.
Season.
And then was 19, which was the COVID year.
The shutdown year was 1920,
okay,
and
so,
the shortened season was 21.
Okay, so he played 41 of the COVID year, 55 of the shortened year, 2021.
He's only missed 3 games the last 3 years.
Yeah, so it was 69 games in 2021-22,
nice.
82, and then this year 55. He's missed 2.
Missed the 2 heading into this. Yeah.
The guy is unbelievable. 1,654 points in 1,327 games. All he did was be the most hyped hockey player of my lifetime, and lived up to it and probably beyond that. Because I don't think anyone thought he would be the two-way. I mean, the dude is a perfect hockey player.
He does, yeah. He impacts the game in every facet of it. And to be at this stage of his career, gone through what he's gone through, and not have a cliff that his play has fallen off of, it's incredible. And he's going to be, 38 next season, and he's going to be right back on this Team Canada for the Olympics. There's no question about it. And that's extremely impressive.
Yeah. 26 games in a row Team Canada had won with Crosby on the ice.
Had
26-1.
Past tense.
Right. And
maybe this is the start of the precipitous fall.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe his soul.
Maybe this game was the turning point.
I saw a photo today of him, by the way, after the morning skate. He still wears the same shoulder pads he wore in junior.
Hockey players are just the weirdest.
That's a 21-year-old set of shoulder pads. Ugh.
God. That set of shoulder pads can rent a car.
Yeah. So gross.
There's got to be just active bacteria just living in all the crevices of that.
Gotta not smell good. Who else stood out for you guys in this one too? We can go over some of the stats. Obviously, Jake Guentzel had a pair of goals for Team USA, +1, 20-35, 5 shots on goal, 9 shot attempts. I mean, he's all over the place.
Noticeable.
A supremely underrated player. And the more I watch him play with a close eye, the more I'm upset that he did not choose Chicago over Tampa.
Yeah,
but it's understandable. I think, as our friend who was sent here from DNVR said, I think Connor Hellebuyck was a huge, huge factor in this game.
Oh, yeah.
He just was outstanding.
Without a doubt. I mean, he going into the third period, what was the stat from Money Puck that they said the expected goals against?
Yeah, you retweeted that, right?
Yeah, the expected goals against going into the third period for Hellebuyck and Binnington. Hellebuyck was saving a goal and a half above expected, and Binnington was saving
minus
1 goal
yeah.
for expected. So, that's, again, like we said, that was going to be a huge advantage for the U.S. in this, not only this tournament, but specifically in this matchup. And yeah, having a guy like Connor Hellebuyck be able to, shut things down and be stable and reliable in that extra line of defense beyond, your actual defenseman when it gets to the goalie, like that's got to be a huge confidence boost for these guys. Another guy that I'll throw out there is Dylan Larkin. Like we were kind of joking about it, like when you have guys in your bottom 6 and 4th line of like Vincent Trocheck and Kyle Connor and Dylan Larkin, it's just like guys that are top producers, top line players for all their NHL clubs, and then they come, to this environment, and it's just like you have to accept your role as like a depth guy or like a PK guy. Like it's fascinating to see that. And Dylan Larkin, like he's still got that speed, elite level shot. Like he was on display tonight. Like just awesome to see, like in this environment, some of the, I guess, quote unquote, lesser names stepping up and like providing that depth. Like it's great to see.
Well, I think the best player on the ice that's not getting enough credit was Jacob Slavin.
It's a great point.
25-36. That top pairing, him and Brock Faber, absolutely fantastic tonight. Over 25 minutes for both. Yep. Both +3 were on for the ice for all USA goals. Not, they weren't out there for the Canadian goal. How many times was there a play where, the forechecks bearing down and Slavin just makes the nice, easy play up the board, or he's the one that gets a stick in and breaks up a scoring chance all night long. Steady, calm, consistent. That top pairing, but especially Jacob Slavin, I think, that was it's crazy to think that a guy like that who's been so good for as long as he's been has a coming out party, but that was his coming out party.
He just doesn't put points up, but he's, again, as we talk about the need for this defensive defenseman award, he'd have several on his mantle.
Recognize that,
the numbers for Slavin: +3, 25-36, 2 shots, 6 shot attempts, a hit, a takeaway, and 3 block shots. I mean, that is doing everything defensively you can to secure a win.
He did so much in the course of those 25.5 minutes that don't show up on a score sheet.
Yeah.
That just these little things, stick tie-ups, getting in the way of passing lanes. It's such an impressive game.
Winning board battles.
Yeah. He did everything that you needed a guy like that to do. Great game for him. And observation I was thinking about before the game, and now that the game's over and they've experienced it, but Dylan Larkin never played in a Stanley Cup playoff game, correct? He's not.
I think you might be right.
Maybe early in this. I know Brady Tkachuk has never played in a Stanley Cup playoff game. Imagine like what's going through the heads of those guys. And
he got 1 series.
Okay, rookie year, was that the last? Okay,
15-16.
But a guy like Brady Tkachuk has never played in a Stanley Cup playoff game. Has sat in the stands watching his brother win Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
But now he gets to be on the ice for the first time in an environment like that. That's gotta fuel him. You look at the Senators 100%. Are in the last wild card spot right now. That's just gotta be like, oh my God, I need this. Yeah. Now that I've played in a game,
guys, look,
that matters.
Guess what I just did?
This is awesome.
It was so cool.
Like it's one thing sitting there and having Bud Lights with your dad cheering on your brother. It's another thing to actually play it. And now that he's got that taste, he's going to want it more. And I think he's going to get back to Ottawa and watch out. Yeah. Watch out. I think Brady Tkachuk is going to single-handedly put that team on his back and say, we're going to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I am all for it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And then play the Panthers in the first round. How much fun would that be?
God. Those two are fighting. It is happening.
In the opening face-off of the opening game.
Totally organic.
Yeah, totally organic. Even though the 3 guys in the group chat said that they were going to fight. Right. Totally organic in our group chat.
They sent the fight emoji. It wasn't directly said. A couple other guys. A lot of people in the chat mentioning Noah Hannafin had a couple impressive moments where just kind of McDavid's bearing down. He's got the foot speed to hang. Just kind of pushes him aside. Like, not the stuff that's flashy, not the, 3-zone pass that leads to a breakaway, but just taking these high firepower Canadians and keeping that, minimizing their chances, minimizing their opportunities. I think Hanifin, I think Zach Werenski, even though he was a -1, another solid game. There's a moment there in the third where he just boxed out McDavid, just kind of turned and gave like an NBA style box out. Just really smart. And as you mentioned too, with Slavin, just the calmness and the poise. It's so valuable. How many times have we seen it this year as Hawks fans where someone's got the puck and they're just panicked?
Yeah, right.
They're just panicked. Like, I got to get rid of it. I got to throw it to his zone or ice it or whatever. No, take that tick, dump it out, play it off the boards, live to fight another day. They are such a well-built team, and I hope that guys like Werenski and Hanifin and Slavin, like you said, Greg, a coming out party for players like this who kind of, I don't want to say toil in obscurity, but they kind of do. And this is a good example when people ask us, like, why would a free agent want to come to the Blackhawks? Because you look at a guy like Zach Werenski, who's playing Norris Trophy level winning hockey in Columbus.
Oh, yeah. If Hughes is out for an extended period of time, it's Werenski.
It should be.
Right.
He's been awesome.
It should be, but if you talk to 100 people at a Hawks game, how many people could tell you what team Zach Werenski's on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he should be a household name, but because he plays in a market like Columbus, he's not. And they're not on national TV very often. They don't get a lot of coverage very often. So that is the sort of thing that a city like Chicago can offer a player, saying, hey, you're going to come here, you're going to be on national TV, big crowds, original six. It's going to benefit you and your rating, your Q rating, to come and play in this market. And that's something I think people lose sight of a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, chips that the Blackhawks can play, is the market that they can provide for players. And I think too, like, that's what the NHL has been missing out on with not having these kinds of tournaments for basically 9 years, is being able to, we keep talking about like, oh, the NHL needs to market their players better. Well, putting them on the biggest stages, having all of these stars of the league in the same tournament and boosting it up as much as this has been, or the World Cup of Hockey could be, or the Olympics, like, that's where those guys have an opportunity to get onto that stage and get into the spotlight, and then they come back from those tournaments into the NHL. And if you have casual fans be like, oh, or even regular hockey fans that saw TJ Oshie in 2014, how many people were like big TJ Oshie fans or knew of him at that stage in the game?
11-year anniversary of that today.
Right. And then he comes back from that and it's just like everyone knows TJ Oshie from that.
He's always going to be remembered for that.
Yeah, that's his biggest. That's for sure his biggest thing.
It's not the Stanley Cup, it's the shootout.
So the NHL not having their players be involved, it's like a big miss. But something like this can be that jumping off point for a guy like Slavin or a guy like Werenski, where their name is more well known across the league, and they just that benefits them. They get more recognition. They get more airtime on media and whatnot, and that can influence votes in awards. It can influence contract negotiations. Like, it's a big part of it.
Think if Zach Werenski was a New York Ranger.
Yeah, he'd be a big name.
And if Adam Fox was a Blue Jacket.
Right, yeah.
I don't think Adam Fox would have his Norris Trophy.
Probably not.
Not to say he didn't deserve it.
Then I would have to hate Zach Werenski. Irrational.
you would.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's a fair point. I think they're the market and the eyes on you is a lot different.
Steve from Chicago, speaking of Chris Chelios, he says Team USA broke Canada worse than the Nagano hotel furniture. It's a $5 super chat. It's a good reference.
That's a throwback there.
That's good.
Nicely done.
King JR in the chat had a good question, saying, is now watching this tournament change your perspective on how Vlasic may have done on this team? I think we could talk about that a little bit, and how Connor Bedard might have done for Team Canada.
Yep.
It's hard to say because I have a lot of faith in Vlasic to do the sort of things we're talking about, like Slavin and like making the safe play, but I've never seen him at a game of this level and this high speed and this high intensity. Do I think he can handle it? Yeah, but it's hard for me to say, oh, he would thrive. It's hard to say that.
I think we saw in a game like tonight, a guy like Brock Faber, let's say Faber and Vlasic, pretty close to each other, right?
Sure. Defensively anyway.
Defensively
yeah.
in not only age, experience, but skill levels. Brock Faber was rough tonight. And I think that's what happens when you have teams that are just so star-studded. Just the best players on the planet, aside from Russians and Czech players, but like in this tournament, like this is the best guys of the NHL. They're all on the same team. This isn't playing San Jose. This isn't playing Nashville. This isn't, it's a lot different. So I think, you look at a guy like Faber, how he performed. I think Vlasic, would he be able to hang? I believe so. Would he be able to thrive? I don't think so. Same thing goes with Connor Bedard. You look at that team. You look at Connor Bedard in a game like this. Like I said it during the game. I was just like, I think Bedard would have probably struggled in a game like this because of the pace, the physicality, like everything that was going to be like how tight that game ended up being played. And that's not to say Connor Bedard can't play that type of game. I just think what he's experienced at the professional level with the Blackhawks probably hasn't set him up to get to this kind of game, this kind of stage, and be able to be the Connor Bedard he was at the World Juniors, where he could just take things over. Like, this is a different animal, and I think those guys aren't necessarily at that point yet, but they have it within them to get to that point for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're both still a little ways away before they can really excel on a stage like that. Vlasic, jokingly, Vlasic might be confused playing on a team where like everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be. Like, oh my God, what is this? What's this like?
Right.
But I think he would have definitely, like a night like tonight, he would have been fine. But as you said, Mario, I think Bedard really would have struggled on a night like tonight. But again, who knows? Him on a line with future Hall of Famers, maybe he's not trying to do as much as he does when he's here.
That's it.
Because he has to do it all here.
Well,
Because he's the only guy. But now all of a sudden you're on a line with Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby. I don't have to take the puck in. I can go get lost somewhere on the ice and score from a weird angle or something like that. So Connor Bedard trying to play like he plays for the Blackhawks wouldn't have worked. But
he wouldn't have to, though.
Connor Bedard wouldn't have to play like that on Team Canada right now. Yeah, he could just go out and be, he doesn't have to be the main offensive driver. He can benefit from having other drivers on his line that he doesn't have here.
Well, I think that's kind of the point we were trying to make. If you saw the shows after the Messier criticisms of, he's out there playing pond hockey or whatever, and that was Bissonnette too. The criticism about the way he was playing is the reason Bedard plays that way is because he's the only guy on the Blackhawks capable of creating offense. So he feels that he has to do it all the time.
Right.
So, yes, I do think, look, my concerns with him is we have seen him in his time in the NHL so far a little bit easy to knock off the puck, can lose some board battles, things that are important in international games like this. Yes, but at the same time, I do think that he would be a different guy when surrounded by better talent. And, I mean, even if he was just like a power play specialist or, I think he could hang if it was against Finland. Maybe even against Sweden. I think a game against USA would have been tough for him.
Sweden, probably. Finland's a physical, tough checking team, too.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about that game today.
That was great, too.
I mean, Finland won a very Finnish game.
Yes, they will not go away.
They won in overtime despite possessing the puck for only 15 seconds of overtime. I mean, that's how the Finns win a game.
They're unbelievable. We have 1 minute to go. Okay, well, anything else we need to hit? I think we're good, right?
We got going to be interesting to see how the game goes on Monday. Now that the U.S. is clinched, the qualification scenarios are going to be very interesting because Sweden, Finland, and Canada are all tied at 2 points.
Let the mathematic geniuses figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm just going to watch 2 games.
It's good though.
Thursday's the big
it's
one.
good it turned out this way because those games now matter, right? You didn't want to have, two teams with their spots already clinched.
Right.
It's going to be awesome. But yeah, these next few games matter for the other three teams. USA sitting pretty, and we will be on after USA Sweden on Monday. And then again, we'll have Alex Vlasic in here on Wednesday. And then Thursday night after the championship, we'll be on as well. So lots of hockey to come. And guess what? The Hawks return to practice on Tuesday. So there should be some Hawks news coming up this week as well. Want to thank everybody for being with us on the postgame show. If you've not hit that like button, please do. We'd appreciate it. I know we have the people watching to get us over that 200 hump. So please hit that button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page. And if you're one of those hockey fans from another market, you're not a Hawks fan, but you just want to talk about this game, let your hockey fan friends know we're going to be here after every Team USA game and, of course, the championship, because guess what? That's a Team USA game. The more the better, the more the merrier. There might be a little bit of Hawks conversation mixed in there, but primarily Team USA and whoever they're playing against.
Last thing we want to talk about right now.
Yeah, we got plenty of Hawks to worry about for the end of the year. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Thanks to Sarah for running the show. We'll talk to everybody Monday after USA and Sweden on the CHGO Four Nations Face-Off Postgame Show.
We all silly like the mayor.